Firefighters dedicate their lives to helping others, yet when they face work-related cancers, the union representing them says they're left fighting for support. The Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment is proposing to expand the list of job-related diseases ACC covers. The new list includes 2 types of cancers linked to firefighting. But the Professional Firefighters Union argues the proposal won't actually make it easier for its members to get financial help when they need it. Soon we'll speak with Union Secretary Wattie Watson in Wellington, but first firefighter Jeffrey Shrimpton joins us in Auckland studio. And Jeff, you're fighting cancer, and you have been fighting cancer for quite some time, 37 years in the job. Can you tell us about your story?
Yeah, I've had 2 spates of cancer and the second one now, but the first one was 2018, and it was pretty devastating to find out, that I had like tongue and throat cancer, and that was all through a fall. I had a fall, which was quite lucky because I was checking out, if I had a bleed in the head through concussion, and found out there was a lymph node there that they tested, and so we had this cancer. And then you get told, you need a robotic surgery, and it's $72,000, and you're not covered.
So you went to ACC about this, right? And what was that like?
Well, that's really tough, and it's tough for all our firefighters that do this, which I help all the time. But you've got to fill a dossier of documents out, and it's trying to prove, which toxin, which formaldehyde, which carcinogen or benzene that you've been to at a particular core that possibly could have caused your cancer. And when you've been in 37 years. It becomes a bit of a joke, which fire...
Because you expose yourself to all sorts, right?
Every day, every day firefighters go out and put their, life on the line, and, I feel the government come back and treat us like this. A presumptive legislation is what's needed, because if that was there, you automatically would be covered, and you could concentrate on your recovery and getting well, instead of worrying about cost of operations, being paid at work when your sick leave runs out. It is a really tough process, and then this goes down to the ACC Toxicology Board, who only sit 4 times a year. So, you could get your paperwork there, and they would have said, well, you've missed this one, so it's another 4 months away.
So 2 things I think we should cover off here. One, ACC, we know that ACC covers any work-related accidents, incidents, etc., illnesses, right? And then the second part you're talking about is presumptive legislation. So what we want here, in this case for our firefighters, is that all cancers that firefighters get should be covered by ACC, right? Because you're exposing yourself to so many different chemicals.
What we've got out there is, on the presumptive line, is 18 cancers. So there's 18 listed cancers, but you have to be in X amount of year, and normally at least 15 years to be covered by that. Now we have, all provinces in Canada covered. We have all the state and territories in Australia covered. We just about have all the states in the United States covered, 40 plus states. It's going through Europe, but for some reason here, we can't get this across the line. We've been going 8 to 10 years at this, and for me, I think the government should be ashamed, and also think FENS could do a lot more work, being proactive, pushing the government to say, really, this is what's needed for our people. So
first you were battling throat and tongue cancer, and now prostate cancer. Go back to the first cancers, $73,000, that's what the treatment was?
That's what
you had to fork that out?
Exactly, yeah.
Until you won your case with ACC?
And that was, over a year later.
Right. So now you're fighting prostate cancer, and what's that been like?
Again, same process, but for me this time it's been much easier because I've known what's coming, and I've also, know what is needed to be said in these reports, and it's made it a lot easier. But the NZPFU spend thousands of dollars on every report helping our firefighters get that across the line when they get when they get refused by the toxicology board. They have a made-up matrix, to put in there to have the ability to turn our claims down. So they have to be appealed and reviewed, and we have a very high success in getting them turned over because of the money that we put in through people going through this to get it presented properly.
Jeff, I really appreciate your time. And I'm sorry that you're having to deal with all of this, but we appreciate the work that you and other firefighters do, so thank you so much.
Just on the prostate cancer, on that, I just want everyone out there knowing that you've got to be tested. You've got to be tested, and you don't get put off by your doctor saying that, your numbers are all right, because in our industry, if your numbers are double what your norm PSA is, then something's happening. And please go and get yourself looked at. That's a big message that I want to get across.
Good
Thank
call.
you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Cheers.
Now, in a statement, the Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment says Schedule 2 is just one of the available routes for claimants to access ACC cover. It says it has engaged with the union through the process, and presumptive legislation is outside the scope of the current review. I want to bring in now Wattie Watson, who is the NZPFU Secretary. Wattie, good morning. You've heard Jeff's story. You know Jeff's story, but Jeff's not alone in this, right?
No, I was actually just looking at some of our records last night, and in the last few years we've had more than 60 firefighters that we've helped go through this process.
How hard is it to go through this process in terms, Jeff's been talking about the process he went through, but to actually go through ACC to get your claim through, how tough is that process?
It's extraordinary. Every firefighter claim goes through the toxicology panel. They have a form that they have to fill out. So at the time when firefighters should really be concentrating on treatment and recovery and spending very precious time with family, they're scrolling through media statements and records and work records to try and put together a history of the incidents that they've attended. They have to report on a whole range of issues that are actually irrelevant to firefighters and cancers, and we know they're irrelevant because of the plethora of scientific research out there that tells us what are the occupational cancers for firefighters. Then, so as Jeff said, it takes at least 4 months for the toxicology panel to have a look at it. They then apply a matrix which is made up, and they give you a number, a rating because of that matrix. And for example, if you live in Auckland, they'll probably give you a higher number than if you live in Timaru, which is just rubbish. And then FENZ relies heavily on that toxicology panel's recommendations, and more often than not, the toxicology panel says no, so FENZ says no. Then we take it to review. We use lawyers. We have to pay for medical specialist reports, and the reviews do become sometimes a war of they get another medical specialist report and we get another one, etc. And more often than not, though, at review, we succeed. And repeatedly, reviewers are saying that both the toxicology panel and FENZ are not even applying the current law. Now, the changes that the MB are proposing aren't going to change that diddly squat. Not one iota.
So adding two cancers isn't going to do anything. It's about the process. That's what you're saying.
Well, firstly, those 2 cancers already exist under Schedule 2. But yes, and then the process, Schedule 2 doesn't work as a presumptive. You still then have to go through all those processes in order to get cover. This does nothing for our membership.
But Wattie, I want to put this to you. The issue seems to be that if the presumptive clause was to be included, it would mean a significant expansion of ACC, which requires legislative change. Do you accept that as a reason for the lack of change over the years?
Well, I don't accept it's a massive expansion, because we're already showing that after probably a year and thousands of dollars that the union, the membership are funding themselves for their colleagues, we're getting these cancers covered, and internationally they're accepted. So firstly, we believe that these are the occupational cancers, so they should be covered anyway, so it's not an expansion. Secondly, it just requires one clause in the actual body of the ACC legislation that says is if you are employed as a firefighter and you are diagnosed with one of the listed cancers and you've been you've served for the length of time that corresponds to that cancer in the clause, then it is presumed to be an occupational cancer unless there's some other reason that it can be rebutted, such as a family history of that particular cancer.
Seems fair. Wattie Watson, NZPFU Secretary, joining us this morning. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.